You don't need to be perfect. Improve your spoken English. Let's talk about something that stops many people from speaking English: the need to be perfect. Many learners think, I must speak English with no mistakes, or I need to sound like a native speaker. But trying to be perfect can make you afraid to speak. It can stop you from practicing and improving. Today, we'll explore what perfectionism is, why it's a problem for speaking English, and how to start speaking confidently, even with mistakes. This is the first part of our series to help you improve your spoken English without worrying about being perfect. We'll share stories, tips, and exercises to practice speaking and listening. Let's get started. What is perfectionism? Perfectionism's when you want everything you do to be perfect. In English, it's when you feel you must speak with perfect grammar, perfect pronunciation, and no mistakes. For example, you might avoid talking because you're afraid of saying the wrong word or using bad grammar. But nobody speaks perfectly all the time, not even native speakers. They make mistakes too, like forgetting a word or saying something unclear. The goal of speaking English is to share your ideas, not to be perfect. Here's an example. Someone wanted to join an English conversation group. They studied a lot of grammar and vocabulary. But when they went to the group, they didn't speak. They thought, what if I make a mistake? What if others laugh? This fear of not being perfect stopped them from practicing. Later, they tried speaking, even with mistakes, like saying I go yesterday instead of I went yesterday. The group understood them, and they felt better by speaking. They improved faster than by staying silent. Listening practice question 1. Pause the audio now and think, have you ever stopped speaking English because you wanted to be perfect? What was the situation? Pause for 10 seconds. Mistakes are a normal part of learning any language. When you make a mistake, it's like a sign that shows you what to practice. For example, a student said, I have to cat instead of I have to cats. A friend corrected them, and they learned to add s for plural nouns. Mistakes help you improve because they show you what you don't know yet. If you never make mistakes, you might not be trying hard enough. Another example is someone who needed English for a new job. They were nervous about speaking in meetings because they wanted to sound perfect. One day, they said, we need to discuss this instead of we need to discuss this. Nobody cared about the mistake. They understood the idea. The person kept speaking in meetings, and their English got better. This shows that communication is more important than perfection. People care about what you say, not about small errors. Listening practice question 2. Pause and answer. What's one mistake you've made in English? How did it help you learn something new? Pause for 10 seconds. Why does perfectionism stop us? When you try to be perfect, you put too much pressure on yourself. This pressure makes speaking English feel scary. You might think, if I'm not perfect, people won't respect me, or I'll sound silly. But most people don't judge you for mistakes. They're happy you're trying. Perfectionism also wastes time because you focus on small details, like perfect grammar, instead of practicing and improving. For example, someone wanted to talk to tourists in English. They spent hours memorizing grammar rules to avoid mistakes. But when they tried speaking, they froze because they couldn't remember everything. Later, They decided to use simple sentences like "Welcome to my city." They made mistakes, but tourists smiled and understood. By letting go of perfection, they spoke more and improved faster. Listening. Practice question 3. Pause and think. Why do you think perfectionism stops you from speaking English? For example, are you afraid of mistakes or judgment? Pause for 10 seconds. Stories of speaking without perfection. Let's hear some stories about people who improved their English by accepting mistakes. These stories show that you don't need to be perfect to speak well. First, imagine someone who moved to a new country and had to use English every day. They didn't know many words and made mistakes, like saying "I want water big" instead of "I want a large water." At first, they felt embarrassed, but they kept talking to shopkeepers, neighbors, and coworkers. People helped them by correcting kindly or guessing what they meant. After a few months, their English was much better, and they felt confident. Their mistakes didn't stop them, they helped them learn. This story shows that speaking, even with mistakes, is the best way to improve. It also shows that most people are kind and will understand if you try. Next, think about a student who wanted to pass an English speaking test. They practiced a lot but worried about pronunciation. In the test, they said "beautiful" instead of "beautiful." The examiner still understood, and they passed because their ideas were clear. The student learned that small pronunciation mistakes didn't ruin their score. They kept practicing and got better at speaking. This teaches that tests and conversations focus on your message, not perfection. Small mistakes don't matter as much as you think. One more story. Someone wanted to make English-speaking friends online. They were nervous because their grammar wasn't perfect. In a video call, they said, "I like to watching movies" instead of "I like watching movies." Their new friends didn't mind. They kept talking and had fun. Over time, the person's English improved because they practiced regularly without worrying about being perfect. This shows that speaking with others, even with mistakes, builds confidence and skills. It's okay to make errors when you're learning. Listening practice question 4. Pause and answer. Where could you practice speaking English without worrying about perfection? For example, with a friend or online. Pause for 10 seconds. Tips to start speaking confidently. Here are 3 practical tips to help you speak English without trying to be perfect. Tip 1. Use simple sentences. You don't need long, perfect sentences to speak well. Short sentences are easier and still work. For example, instead of saying, "I am very interested in participating in this discussion," say, "I like to talk." Simple sentences help you speak without fear. Try this. Practice one simple sentence about your day, like "I ate lunch today." Say it out loud 3 times. This builds confidence and makes speaking feel easy. Tip 2. Talk to yourself first. If you're scared to speak with others, start by talking to yourself. For example, someone practiced English by describing their room alone, saying, "This is my table. It's brown." This helped them feel ready to talk with others. Talking to yourself is safe because nobody hears your mistakes. Try this. Describe one thing in your room in English, like "I have a blue chair." Say it out loud now. It's okay if it's not perfect. Tip 3. Focus on meaning, not mistakes when you speak. Think about sharing your idea, not about grammar or pronunciation. For example, someone ordering food said, "I want pizza big instead of I want a large pizza." The waiter understood, and they got their pizza. The mistake didn't matter because the meaning was clear. Try this. Next time you speak English, focus on your message. If you make a mistake, keep going and don't stop. Listening practice. Question 5. Pause and say one simple sentence about something you like. For example, I like music. Don't worry about perfection, just try. Pause for 15 seconds. Overcoming perfectionism challenges. Perfecting can make speaking English hard. Let's talk about 3 common challenges and how to handle them. Challenge 1. Fear of looking silly. Many people worry that mistakes will make them look silly. But most people don't judge you, they're happy you're trying. For example, someone said, "I go to school tomorrow" instead of "I'm going to school tomorrow." Their friends understood and didn't laugh. Solution: remind yourself, mistakes are okay. Practice saying this out loud. It's okay to make mistakes in English. Challenge 2. Overthinking grammar. Some learners think too much about grammar rules and freeze. For example, someone stopped speaking because they couldn't remember if they should say have gone or went. Instead, they could say, "I go to the park yesterday." People will understand. Solution: use simple grammar you know. Practice one sentence now. I like to eat rice. Don't overthink, just speak. Challenge 3. Wanting to sound native. Many learners want to sound like native speakers, but this takes years. For now, focus on being clear. Someone said, "My name is from Pakistan" instead of "I'm from Pakistan." People understood, and they kept talking. Solution: aim to be clear, not native. Try saying, "I am learning English now." And don't worry about your accent. Listening practice. Question 6. Pause and think. What's one thing that makes you want to be perfect in English? How could you let go of that fear? Pause for 10 seconds. Practice and reflection. Let's finish with a review and practice today. We learned that perfectionism stops you from speaking English. We talked about why mistakes are normal, how they help you learn, and why communication matters more than perfection. We heard stories of people who spoke with mistakes but still improved. We also shared tips. Use simple sentences, talk to yourself, and focus on meaning. Now, let's do a speaking activity with 4 questions. Pause after each one. Say your answer out loud or write it down. Don't worry about being perfect, just try your best. Question 1. Why don't you need to be perfect to speak English? Think of an example from the lesson. Pause for 15 seconds. Question 2. How can mistakes help you improve your English? Give an example we talked about. Pause for 15 seconds. Question 3. What's one simple sentence you can say about your day? Say it out loud, like, "I went to school." Pause for 15 seconds. Question 4. What's one place you can practice speaking English this week? For example, with a friend or alone. Pause for 15 seconds. Great job listening today. You've learned that you don't need to be perfect to speak English well. Keep practicing, make mistakes, and enjoy the process. Next time, we'll talk about building confidence to speak more. Keep trying, and you'll get better every day. Let's keep talking about how you don't need to be perfect to improve your spoken English. In part 1, we learned that perfectionism stops you from speaking because you're afraid of mistakes. We also learned that mistakes are normal and help you grow. Today, we'll focus on building confidence to speak English, even if you're not perfect. Confidence means believing you can speak well, even with small errors. We'll share stories of people who became confident speakers, give you tips to build your own confidence, and include exercises to practice speaking. Let's dive in. Confidence is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. When you're confident, you're not afraid to speak English, even if you make mistakes. For example, someone wanted to order food in English at a restaurant. At first, they were nervous and thought, "What if I say the wrong thing?" But they tried saying, "Can I have chicken, please?" They made a small mistake, saying chickens instead of chicken. But the waiter understood. The small success made them feel more confident to try again. Listening practice question 1. Pause the audio now and think, when have you felt nervous about speaking English? What happened when you tried? Pause for 10 seconds. Why is confidence important for speaking English? If you're not confident, you might stay quiet or avoid talking. But when you believe in yourself, you speak more, and speaking more helps you improve. Confidence doesn't mean you never make mistakes. It means you're okay with making them and keep going. For example, a student wanted to answer questions in English class, but was shy. One day, they said, "I think answer is yes," even though their grammar wasn't perfect. The teacher smiled and said, "Good try." This made the student feel confident to speak again. Listening practice question 2. Pause and answer. Why do you think confidence helps you speak English? Think of a time you felt confident. Pause for 10 seconds. Stories of building confidence. Let's hear some stories about people who built confidence to speak English without being perfect. These stories show that anyone can become a confident speaker with practice. First, imagine someone who started a new job where they needed to speak English with coworkers. They were scared because their English wasn't great. They mixed up words, like saying "I'm finished" instead of "I'm finished." But they decided to try speaking in meetings, starting with simple sentences like "I agree" or "can you explain?" Their co-workers understood, and some even helped by suggesting words. After a few weeks, they could talk more easily and felt confident. Their small efforts build big confidence. This story shows that starting with small sentences and kind people can help you feel braver. It's okay to make mistakes when you're trying. Next, think about a student who wanted to join an English debate club. They worried about their pronunciation and thought, "Everyone will laugh if I say something wrong." But they joined anyway and said simple things like, "I think school is important." They said important instead of important, but nobody laughed. The club members clapped and gave feedback. Over time, the students spoke longer sentences and felt proud. Their confidence grew because they kept trying. This teaches that practicing in a group can build confidence. Even if you're not perfect, people will support you if you try. One more story. Someone wanted to travel and talk to people in English. They were nervous because they didn't know many words. On their trip, they said, "Where is bus station?" instead of "Where is the bus station?" The person they asked understood and gave directions. Each time they spoke, they felt braver. By the end of the trip, they could ask questions and have short conversations. Their confidence came from practicing, not from being perfect. This shows that real-life practice, like talking to strangers, helps you feel stronger. Mistakes don't stop you from communicating. Listening practice question 3. Pause and think. Where could you practice speaking English to build confidence? For example, at school or with a friend. Pause for 10 seconds. Tips to build confidence. In speaking, here are 3 practical tips to help you feel more confident when speaking English, even if you make mistakes. Tip 1. Celebrate small wins every time you speak English. Even if it's one sentence, it's a success. Celebrate these moments to build confidence. For example, someone felt shy but said, "I like coffee at a cafe." The waiter smiled, and they felt good. They started celebrating every time they spoke, like saying "good job" to themselves. This made them want to speak more. Try this. After you speak English, say to yourself, "I did it." Practice now by saying one sentence, like "I am learning English," and then say, "Good job." Tip 2. Practice in safe place. Start speaking where you feel comfortable, like with a friend or alone. For example, someone practiced English by talking to their dog, saying things like "you are a good dog." Nobody judged them, so they felt safe. Later, they spoke with friends and felt more confident. Try this. Find a safe place to practice, like your room or with a family member. Say one sentence now, like "My favorite color is blue." It's okay if it's not perfect. Tip 3. Use positive self-talk. Tell yourself encouraging things, like "I can speak English," or "mistakes help me learn." For example, someone was nervous before a phone call in English. They told themselves, "I don't need to be perfect, just try." They made mistakes, like saying "I call you later" instead of "I'll call you later." But they finished the call and felt proud. Try this. Say out loud, "I am a good English speaker, and mistakes are okay." Repeat it 3 times to feel stronger. Listening practice question 4. Pause and say one positive sentence about your English skills. For example, "I am good at speaking English." Pause for 15 seconds. Overcoming confidence challenge. Building confidence can be hard. Let's talk about 3 common challenges and how to handle them when speaking English. Challenge 1. Feeling embarrassed by mistakes. You might feel embarrassed if you say something wrong, like mixing up words. For example, someone said "I love to eat chicken" instead of chicken. They felt silly, but the listener laughed kindly and corrected them. Solution: remind yourself that mistakes are normal. Practice saying, "It's okay to make mistakes. Try it now." And then say a sentence like, "I like to eat rice." Challenge 2. Comparing yourself to others. You might think, "Other people speak better than me." This can make you feel bad. For example, a student saw others speak fluently and felt unconfident, but they focused on their own progress, like saying more sentences each week. Solution: compare yourself to your past self, not others. Say one sentence now, like "I am better than last month," and feel proud of your growth. Challenge 3. Fear of not being understood. You might worry that people won't understand you, but most people will try to help if you speak clearly. Someone said, "I need go hospital" instead of "I need to go to the hospital." The listener understood, because they spoke slowly. Solution: speak slowly and use simple words. Practice now. Say, I want water, slowly and clearly. Don't worry if it's not perfect. Listening practice question 5. Pause and think. What's one thing that makes you unconfident when speaking English? How could you handle it? Like saying positive things. Pause for 10 seconds, practice, and reflection. Let's wrap up with a review and practice. Today, we learned that confidence helps you speak English without needing to be perfect. We heard stories of people who became confident by speaking with mistakes. We shared tips, celebrate small wins, practice in safe places, and use positive self-talk. We also talked about challenges like embarrassment and comparing yourself to others. Now, let's do a speaking activity with 4 questions. Pause after each one. Say your answer out loud or write it down. Don't worry about mistakes, just try your best. Question 1. Why is confidence important for speaking English? Think of an example from the lesson. Pause for 15 seconds. Question 2. How can celebrating small wins help you feel confident? Give an example we talked about. Pause for 15 seconds. Question 3. What's one simple sentence you can say about yourself? Say it out loud. Like, I like to read books. Pause for 15 seconds. Question 4. What's one safe place you can practice English this week? For example, alone or with a friend. Pause for 15 seconds. Great job listening today. You've learned how to build confidence to speak English. Keep practicing, celebrate your efforts, and don't worry about being perfect. Next time, we'll talk about practicing English every day to keep improving. Keep trying, and you'll feel stronger every day. Why is daily practice important? Speaking English a little every day makes it easier to remember words and feel comfortable. You don't need to practice for hours, just a few minutes can help. For example, someone wanted to speak English at a local market. They practiced saying simple phrases, like, how much is this? For 5 minutes each morning. At first, they said how much this, but shopkeepers understood. After a month, they spoke more clearly and felt happy. Daily practice made speaking feel natural. Listening practice question 1. Pause now and think. What's one thing you do every day, like brushing your teeth? Could you add 5 minutes of English practice to it? Pause for 10 seconds. Daily practice doesn't need to be perfect. Even small, messy efforts add up. For example, a student wanted to talk to their cousins in English. They practiced saying one sentence daily, like, I like cricket. Sometimes they said, I liking cricket. But their cousin smiled and understood. Over time, their sentences got better because they practiced every day. This shows that small, imperfect practice is powerful. Listening practice question 2. Pause and answer. What's one small thing you could practice in English every day? For example, saying, I like food. Pause for 10 seconds. Stories of daily practice. Let's hear stories about people who improved their English by practicing every day, even with mistakes. These stories show that daily effort beats perfection. First, imagine someone who wanted to chat with friends online in English. They were shy because their grammar wasn't great. They started practicing 5 minutes a day by typing and saying phrases like, hi, how are you? Sometimes they said how you are, but their friends replied anyway. Each day, they tried a new phrase. like I watched a movie. After a few weeks, they could have short chats without worrying about mistakes. Daily practice made them braver. This story shows that short, daily practice builds skills. It's okay if your English is imperfect, just keep trying. Next, think about a student who needed English for a school project. They decided to practice daily by explaining their project out loud. Like my project is about animals. At first, they made mistakes, like saying animal are big instead of animals are big. But they kept practicing every evening. By the project day, they could explain clearly and felt proud. Their daily habit helped them improve. This teaches that practicing a little each day prepares you for big moments. Mistakes don't stop progress. One more story. Someone wanted to speak English at a family gathering. They practiced daily by talking to themselves, saying things like, I cooked biryani today. Sometimes they said, I cooked biryani by mistake. But they kept going. At the gathering, they said simple sentences, and their family was impressed. Daily practice made them confident. Even with small errors, this shows that practicing every day, even alone, helps you speak in real situations. Perfection isn't needed, just effort, listening practice. Question 3. Pause and think. What's one place you could practice English daily, like at home or online? Pause for 10 seconds. Tips for daily English practice here are for tips to help you practice speaking English every day without worrying about being perfect. Tip 1. Make practice part of your routine. Add English to something you already do, like eating breakfast or walking. For example, someone practiced English while drinking tea, saying this tea is hot each morning. They made mistakes like tea is hotting, but it didn't matter. It became a habit, and their speaking improved. Try this. Pick a daily activity, like eating, and say one English sentence about it. Like, I eat bread. Say it now to practice. Tip 2. Use simple phrases. Start with easy phrases you can say every day. For example, someone practiced saying good morning and I'm happy today daily. They sometimes said I happy but kept practicing. Over time, they said longer sentences. Simple phrases are easy to practice and build confidence. Try this. Say one simple phrase now, like I like my phone. Repeat it 3 times, even if it's not perfect. Tip 3. Talk about your day. Describe your day in English for a few minutes daily. For example, someone said, today I go school, eat lunch, play cricket. They made mistakes, like I go school instead of I went to school. But they improved by practicing daily. This habit made speaking feel normal. Try this. Say one sentence about your day now, like I read a book today. Don't worry about mistakes, just speak. Tip 4. Use technology to practice. Use apps, videos, or social media to practice English daily. For example, someone watched a short English video daily and repeated phrases like this is fun. They said this fun at first, but the repetition helped them improve. Apps and videos make practice fun and easy. Try this. Say one phrase you learned from a video or app, like I want to learn. If you don't know one, say I like videos now. Listening practice. Question 4. Pause and say one simple phrase you can practice every day, like good evening. Try 3 times. Pause for 15 seconds overcoming daily practice challenge. Just practicing every day can be hard, especially if you want to be perfect. Here are 3 challenges and how to solve them. Challenge 1. Forgetting to practice. Say you might forget to practice daily because you're busy. For example, someone kept forgetting to practice English until they set a phone reminder to say, "I like my house" every evening. The reminder helped them make it a habit. Solution: set a daily reminder or link practice to an activity like brushing your teeth. Say now, "I will practice English daily." Challenge 2. Feeling bored with practicing doing the same thing daily can feel boring. Someone got bored saying, "I like food every day," so they tried new topics like "I saw a cat" or "I like music." This kept practice fun. Solution: change your topics daily. Say a new sentence now, like "I have a red shirt. Try something different tomorrow." Challenge 3. Thinking practice is and helping you. Might think daily practice and working if you still make mistakes. Someone felt this way, but noticed they could say "I want it" clearly after a month. Their small efforts added up. Solution: track your progress, like writing down one sentence you say each day. Say now, "I am getting better at English." Listening practice. Question 5. Pause and think. What's one challenge you might face with daily English practice? How could you solve it? Like setting a reminder, pause for 10 seconds practice, and reflection. Let's wrap up with a review and lots of speaking practice. Today, we learned that practicing English every day helps you improve without needing to be perfect. We heard stories of people who practiced daily and got better, even with mistakes. We shared tips. Make practice a routine. Use simple phrases. Talk about your day. And use technology. We also talked about challenges like forgetting or feeling bored. Now, let's do a big speaking activity with 5 questions. Pause after each one. Say your answer out loud or write it down. Don't worry about being perfect, just try your best. Question 1. Why is practicing English every day important? Think of an example from the lesson. Pause for 15 seconds. Question 2. How can simple phrases help you practice daily? Give an example we talked about. Pause for 15 seconds. Question 3. Say one sentence about your day. Like, "I ate breakfast today." Try it now. Pause for 15 seconds. Question 4. What's one way you can make English practice a daily habit? Like saying a phrase while eating. Pause for 15 seconds. Question 5. What's one new phrase you can practice tomorrow? Like, "I like my city." Say it now. Pause for 15 seconds. Great job listening today. You've learned how to practice English every day without needing to be perfect. Keep saying simple sentences, make it a habit, and don't worry about mistakes. Next time, we'll talk about overcoming shyness to speak English more. Keep practicing, and you'll improve every day. Soft music fades out shyness is when you feel nervous or scared to speak, especially in front of others. Fear often comes from worrying about mistakes or what people think. For example, someone wanted to speak English at a chai stall. They were shy and thought, "What if I say the wrong word?" But they tried saying, "1 tea, please." They said tea as tea instead of tea. But the shopkeeper understood. This small step helped them feel less shy. Speaking, even with mistakes, builds bravery. Listening practice question 1. Pause now and think. When have you felt shy about speaking English? What made you nervous? Pause for 10 seconds. Fear of speaking often comes from perfectionism. You might think, if I'm not perfect, people will judge me. But most people don't care about small mistakes. They're happy you're trying. For example, a student was afraid to speak in an English class. They said, I like book instead of I like books. The teacher said, great effort. This made the student feel less scared to try again. You don't need to be perfect, just brave. Listening practice question 2. Pause and answer. Why do you sometimes feel shy when speaking English? For example, are you afraid of mistakes? Pause for 10 seconds. Stories of overcoming shyness. Let's hear stories about people who stopped being shy. D. Spoke English confidently, even with mistakes. These show you can be brave to doubt first. Imagine someone who wanted to speak English during an Eid gathering. They were shy because their family spoke better English. They practiced saying, Happy Eid, but said Happy Eid with odd pronunciation. Everyone smiled and replied. The person kept talking, saying simple things like I ate kheer today. Their family understood, and they felt less shy. By trying, they became braver. This story shows that starting with small phrases in a kind setting, like with family, helps you overcome shyness. Next, think about a student who joined an online English chat group. They were nervous and thought, my English isn't good enough. They started with short sentences, like, I from Pakistan. They said from as form. But the group didn't mind. They replied and helped. After a few chats, the students spoke more, saying, I like cricket. Daily chats made them less shy. This teaches that online groups are safe places to practice. Mistakes don't stop you from connecting. One more story. Someone wanted to speak English at a market. They were shy and worried about pronunciation. They said, how much mango? Instead of how much are the mangoes? The seller understood and answered. Each time they spoke, they felt braver. After a month, they could bargain in English, saying, can you make it cheaper? Their shyness faded with practice. This shows that real-life practice, like at a market, helps you speak without fear. You're doing great, just keep trying. Listening practice question 3. Pause and think. Where could you speak English without feeling shy, like with family or online? Pause for 10 seconds. Tips to overcome shyness and fear. Here are 4 tips to help you speak English bravely without worrying about being perfect. Tip 1. Start with one sentence. Begin with one simple sentence. To feel less shy, for example, someone was nervous, but practice saying, I like tea at a cafe. They said teas by mistake. But the waiter understood. This small step made them braver. Try this. Say one sentence now, like, I want water. Repeat it 3 times to feel confident. You're doing great. Tip 2. Practice pronunciation. Slow pronunciating can make you shy if you think you sound wrong. Practice saying words slowly to feel better. For example, someone practiced important by stressing the middle part. They said it wrong at first, but got better with practice. Try this. Say confidence, stress on con. Repeat it 3 times slowly. Confidence, confidence, confidence. Don't worry if it's not perfect. Tip 3. Role play real situations. Pretend you're in a situation like ordering food. For example, Someone practiced saying, "Can I have biryani, please?" alone before trying it at a restaurant. They said biryanis, but got their food. Role-playing made them less shy. Try this. Pretend you're at a shop. Say, "Can I have one pen, please?" Now, repeat it twice. You're doing awesome. Tip 4. Smile and keep talking. Smiling makes you and others feel good, even if you make mistakes. For example, someone said, "I go market" instead of "I went to the market," but they smiled, and people understood. Smiling helped them feel less scared. Try this. Smile and say, "I am learning English." If you make a mistake, keep going. Say it now. Listening practice. Question 4. Pause and say one sentence with a smile. Like, "I like my city." Try it 3 times. Pause for 15 seconds. Overcoming shyness, challenginess, and fear can make speaking hard. Here are 3 challenges and how to solve them. Challenge 1. Worrying about judgment. You might think people will laugh at your mistakes, but most people are kind. Someone was shy but said, "I want book at a store." They said book as buck, but the seller helped. Solution. Remind yourself, people want to help. Say now, "It's okay if people hear my mistakes." Then say, "I like to read." Challenge 2. Freezing. When nervous, you might freeze and forget words. When you're scared, someone froze in a class, but said, "I try again," and kept going. Their simple words worked. Solution. Take a deep breath and say something simple. Try now. Breathe. Then say, "I am okay." Repeat it twice. Challenge 3. Bad pronunciation. You might feel shy if you pronounce words wrong. For example, someone said shyness as shiness, but practiced saying shyness stress on shy. They improve with repetition. Solution. Practice one word slowly. Say flu and say stress on flu 3 times now. Fluency, fluency, fluency. Listening practice. Question 5. Pause and say one word with stress, like shyness or confidence. Try it 3 times. Pause for 15 seconds. Practice and reflection. Let's wrap up with a review and lots of speaking practice. Today, we learned how to overcome shyness and fear to speak English. We heard stories of people who spoke bravely at gatherings, online, and markets. We shared tips. Start with one sentence. Practice pronunciation, role play, and smile. We also talked about challenges like worrying about judgment or freezing. You're doing amazing. Keep going. Now, let's do a big speaking activity with 5 questions. Pause after each. Say your answer out loud or write it down. Don't worry about being perfect, just be brave. Question 1. Why does shyness stop you from speaking English? Think of an example from the lesson. Pause for 15 seconds. Question 2. How can smiling help you speak without fear? Give an example we talked about. Pause for 15 seconds. Question 3. Say one sentence you'd use at a market. Like, "How much is this?" Try it now. Pause for 15 seconds. Question 4. What's one place you can practice English without feeling shy? Like with cousins. Pause for 15 seconds. Question 5. Say one word with stress, like shyness or flu and sigh. Repeat it 3 times. Pause for 15 seconds. Great job listening today. You've learned how to speak English without being shy, even with mistakes. Keep practicing. Smile and be brave. Next time, we'll talk about long-term improvement too. Keep getting better. You're doing fantastic. Keep speaking. Long-term improvement means getting better slowly over months or years. It's like playing cricket. You don't become a great player in one day, but every practice makes you stronger. For English, small efforts, like speaking daily, add up. For example, someone wanted to speak English at a wedding. They practiced saying congratulations for weeks. They said con-gr-u-lay-shun at first, but guests understood. Over months, their speaking became clearer because they didn't give up. Listening practice. Question 1. Pause now and think. What's one long-term goal you have for your English? Like speaking at a wedding, pause for 10 seconds. Mistakes are part of long-term improvement. They show you're trying new things. For example, a student wanted to talk about cricket in English. They said, Pakistan won match instead of Pakistan won the match. Friends corrected them, and they learned. Over time, they could say, Pakistan scored 300 runs. Mistakes helped them improve. Not stop. You're doing fantastic. Just keep practicing. Listening practice. Question 2. Pause and answer. How have mistakes helped you improve your English? Think of one example. Pause for 10 seconds. Stories of long-term improvement. Let's hear stories about people who improved their English over time by practice. ing, not by being perfect. First, imagine someone who wanted to speak English at a family cricket match. They started saying simple phrases like good shot, but said shot as showed. Spectators understood anyway. Each match, they tried new sentences, like that was a 6 over a year. They could talk about runs and wickets fluently. Their daily efforts, even with mistakes, led to big improvement. This story shows that practicing in fun settings, like cricket matches, helps you improve over time. Keep going, you're doing great. Next, think about a student who wanted to order food in English at a restaurant. They practiced daily, saying, Can I have biryani? At first, they said biryani instead of biryani. Stress on ya. Waiters helped them, and after months, they could order confidently, saying, Can I have spicy biryani, please? Their long-term practice made speaking easy. This teaches that regular practice in real situations, like ordering food, leads to improvement. Mistakes are just steps forward. One more story. Someone wanted to chat in English at a school event. They were nervous and said, "I happy to be here" instead of "I'm happy." They kept practicing daily, trying sentences like "I enjoyed the event." After a year, they could give a short speech in English. Their long-term effort, not perfection, made them better. This shows that small, steady practice over time builds big skills. You're on the right path. Keep it up. Listening practice. Question 3. Pause and think. Where could you practice English long-term, like at family events or restaurants? Pause for 10 seconds. Tips for long-term improvement. There are 5 tips to keep improving your spoken English over time without needing to be perfect. Tip 1. Set small, clear goals. Make small goals, like learning 5 new words a week. For example, someone learned words like improve, practice, and fluency. They said improve meant wrong at first, but practiced daily. After a month, they used these words correctly. Small goals keep you moving forward. Try this. say one new word now, like flu dash and dash psi stress on flu. Repeat it 3 times. Fluency, fluency, flu dash and dash psi dot double quotes. Tip 2. Track your progress. Write down what you say each day to see improvement. Someone kept a notebook, writing sentences like, I like cricket. They noticed they stopped saying, I liking cricket after a month. Tracking showed them they were getting better. Try this. Say one sentence now, like, I eat breakfast, and write it down. Say, I'm improving. To celebrate. Tip 3. Practice minimal pairs. Minimal pairs are words that sound similar, like ship and sheep. Practicing them helps pronunciation. Someone said, I saw a ship, but meant sheep. They practiced both words daily and improved. Try this. Say ship and sheep 3 times each. Ship, 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 sheep, sheep, sheep. Don't worry if it's not perfect. Tip 4. Role-play conversations. Sprint you're in real situations, like ordering at a dabber. Someone practiced. Can I have naan and curry? They said curries once, but kept going. After weeks, they ordered confidently in real life. Try this. Pretend you're at a restaurant. Say, can I have biryani, please? Repeat it twice. Now you're doing awesome. Tip 5. Stay positive. Tell yourself, I'm getting better every day. Someone felt stuck, but said, mistakes help me learn. They kept practicing and could talk about movies in English after a year. Positive thinking keeps you motivated. Try this. Say, I'm improving my English every day. 3 times now. Smile, you're doing great. Listening practice. Question 4. Pause and say one minimal pair, like ship or sheep. Repeat it 3 times. Pause for 15 seconds. Overcoming long-term challenges. Improving over time can be tough. Here are 3 challenges and how to solve them. Challenge 1. Feeling stuck. You might feel your English is improving. Even after months, someone felt this, but notice they could say, I watched cricket instead of I watch cricket. Small changes showed progress. Solution. Look at old sentences you said. Say now, I'm better than before. Then say, I like my city. Challenge 2. Losing motivation. You might lose interest if progress is slow. Someone got bored, but started watching English cricket commentaries and repeated phrases like that's a boundary. This kept practice fun. Solution. Try fun activities like watching videos. Say now, I will keep practicing. Then say, I like cricket. Challenge 3. But habits. You might stop practicing regularly. Someone skipped practice, but set a daily alarm to say, I'm learning English. This rebuilt their habit. Solution. Set an alarm for practice. Say now, I practice every day. Then say, I want to. Listening practice. Question 5. Pause and think. What's one challenge you might face improving English long-term? How could you solve it? Like watching fun videos. Pause for 10 seconds. Interactive story practice. Let's try a fun choose your own adventure exercise. You'll decide what someone says in a story. Imagine a student at a cricket match wants to speak English. They're nervous, but want to talk about the game. Step 1. They say, good game. What should they say next? Choose one and say out loud. That was a 6. Who is winning? Say your own sentence. Like, I like this match. Pause now and say your choice 3 times. Pause for 15 seconds. Step 2. someone replies, "Yes, it's exciting." What should the students say now? Choose one and say it. Pakistan is great. I like cricket. Your own sentence. Like it's fun to watch, pause, and say your choice twice. Pause for 15 seconds. This fun exercise helps you practice speaking without fear. You're doing fantastic. Listening practice question 6. Pause and say one sentence you'd say at a cricket match. Like great shot. Try it now. Pause for 15 seconds, practice, and reflection. Let's wrap up with a review and lots of speaking practice. Today, we learned how to improve your spoken English long-term without being perfect. We heard stories of people who practiced at cricket matches, restaurants, and events. We shared tips, set small goals, track progress, practice minimal pairs, role play, and stay positive. We also tried a fun story exercise. You're improving every day. Keep it up. Now, let's do a big speaking activity with 5 questions. Pause after each. Say your answer out loud or write it down. Don't worry about mistakes, just be brave. Question 1. Why is long-term practice important for English? Think of an example from the lesson. Pause for 15 seconds. Question 2. How can tracking progress help you improve? Give an example we talked about. Pause for 15 seconds. Question 3. Say one sentence about a cricket match. Like Pakistan score a 6. Try it now. Pause for 15 seconds. Question 4. What's one long-term English goal you have? Like speaking fluently at a wedding. Pause for 15 seconds. Question 5. Say one minimal pair, like ship or sheep. Repeat it 3 times. Pause for 15 seconds. Great job listening today. You've learned how to keep improving your English over time. Practice daily. Stay positive. And don't aim for perfection. You're doing amazing. Keep speaking. Using English in real life means speaking in situations that matter, like ordering food, traveling, or talking at school. You don't need perfect English, just enough to share your ideas. For example, someone went to a bazaar and wanted to bargain in English. They said, "Can you low price?" instead of "Can you lower the price?" The shopkeeper understood and offered a discount. This small success showed them they could use English without being perfect. Listening practice question 1. Pause now and think, what's one real-life situation where you want to use English, like at a shop or school? Pause for 10 seconds. Mistakes in real life are okay. They don't stop communication. For example, a student gave a school presentation in English. They said, "My topic are cricket" instead of "My topic is cricket." The class understood, and the teacher praised their effort. Using English in real situations, even with mistakes, helps you improve and feel proud. You're doing fantastic. Keep it up. Listening practice question 2. Pause and answer. When have you used English in real life? What happened? Even if you made a mistake. Pause for 10 seconds. Stories of using English in real life. Let's hear stories about people who used English in real situations and improved, even with imperfect speech. First, imagine someone who wanted to speak English at a mehndi ceremony. They practiced saying, "The bride looks beautiful," but said "bride" as "bride," like bid. Guests smiled and agreed. They kept talking, saying, "I like the henna." Over time, they spoke confidently at family events. Their real-life practice made them better. This story shows that using English at fun events, like a Mendy, helps you improve. Mistakes don't matter. Just try. Next, think about a student who needed English for a job interview. They were nervous and said, "I have 2-year experience instead of 2 years." The interviewer understood and asked more questions. The student got the job because they shared their ideas clearly, not because they were perfect. This teaches that real-life situations, like interviews, value your message over perfection. You're doing great. One more story. Someone traveled abroad and needed English to talk to tourists. They said, "Where are you from?" instead of "Where are you from?" The tourists answered happily, and they had a fun chat about cricket. Using English while traveling helped them improve over time. This shows that speaking in real situations, like travel, builds skills. Keep going, you're amazing. Listening practice. Question 3. Pause and think. What's one real-life place you could use English? Like a bazaar or a family event. Pause for 10 seconds. Tips for using English in real life. Here are 5 tips to help you use English in everyday situations without needing to be perfect. Tip 1. Prepare key phrases. Learn simple phrases for situations. Like, "How much is this?" for shopping. Someone practiced, "Can I have tea for a chai stall?" They said teas once, but the vendor understood. Preparing phrases makes real-life speaking easier. Try this. Say, "Can I have biryani, please?" 3 times now. Like you're at a dabber. You're doing awesome. Tip 2. Practice intonation. Intonation is how your voice rises or falls. Questions often rise at the end, like, "Can you help?" Someone practiced this, but said, "Help us help." They kept trying, and their questions sounded clearer. Try this. Say, "Can you help?" with a rising tone at the end. Repeat it 3 times. Can you help? Can you help? Can you help? Tip 3. Role play real scenarios. Pretend you're in a situation. Like a job interview. Someone practiced, "I want this job because I work hard." They said works hard once, but kept going. This helped them in a real interview. Try this. Pretend you're at a cricket match. Say, "Pakistan played well." 3 times now. You're doing fantastic. Tip 4. Keep it simple. Use short sentences in real life. For example, someone said, "I need taxi" instead of "I need a taxi at an airport." The driver understood, and they got to their hotel. Simple sentences work. Try this. Say, "I want water." Now, like you're at a shop, repeat it twice. Keep it simple. You're great. Tip 5. Reflect on success after using English. Think about what went well. Someone said, "I talk English today after a market trip." They wrote down, "I said, cheap price," and it worked. This kept them motivated. Try this. Say, "I can use English in real life." 3 times now. You're improving every day. Listening practice. Question 4. Pause and say one phrase for a shop. Like, "How much is this?" Repeat it 3 times. Pause for 15 seconds. Overcoming real-life challenges. Using English in real life can be scary. Here are 3 challenges and solutions. Challenge 1. Fear of confusion. You might worry people won't understand you. Someone said, "I go school" instead of "I'm going to school" at a bus stop. The driver nodded and helped. Solution. Speak slowly and use gestures. Say, "Now, I will speak clearly." Then say, I need a bus. Challenge 2. Nervousness. In big moments, you might feel nervous in important situations, like presentations. A student said, "My project good instead of my project is good." The class clapped anyway. Solution: take a deep breath. Say now, "I am calm." Then say, "I like my project." Challenge 3. Pronunciation mistakes. You might mispronounce words, like schedule, not schedule. Someone practiced schedule daily and improved. Solution: practice minimal pairs like fan and fan. Say now, fan, 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 van, van, van. Repeat 3 times. Listening practice. Question 5. Pause and say one question with rising tone, like "Can you help?" Try it 3 times. Pause for 15 seconds. Interactive Q&A gameplays. Play a fun Q&A game to practice real-life English. Imagine you're at a school event and someone asks you questions in English. Answer out loud as if you're there. Question 1. What's your favorite hobby? Pause and answer, like "I like cricket." Try it now. Pause for 15 seconds. Question 2. Why do you like it? Answer, like "Cricket is exciting." Say it twice. Pause for 15 seconds. Question 3. Where are you from? Answer, like "I'm from Lahore." Try it now. Pause for 15 seconds. This game makes speaking fun and real. You're doing awesome. Keep practicing. Listening practice. Question 6. Pause and answer one question as if at an event, like "I like food." Say it 3 times. Pause for 15 seconds. Practice and reflection. Let's wrap up with a review and lots of speaking practice. Today, we learned how to use English in real life without being perfect. We heard stories of people speaking at Mendes, interviews, and travels. We shared tips, prepare phrases, practice intonation, role play. Keep it simple and reflect on success. We also played a Q&A game. You're improving every day. Keep it up. Now, let's do a big speaking activity with 6 questions. Pause after each. Say your answer out loud or write it down. Don't worry about mistakes, just be brave. Question 1. Why can you use English in real life without being perfect? Think of an example from the lesson. Pause for 15 seconds. Question 2. How can preparing phrases help you in real situations? Give an example we talked about. Pause for 15 seconds. Question 3. Say one phrase for a bazaar, like "Can you lower the price?" Try it now. Pause for 15 seconds. Question 4. What's one real-life situation you want to use English in, like a job interview? Pause for 15 seconds. Question 5. Say one minimal pair, like fan or van. Repeat it 3 times. Pause for 15 seconds. Question 6. Answer as if someone asked, "What's your favorite food?" Say, like "I like biryani." Try it twice. Pause for 15 seconds. Great job listening today. You've learned how to use English in real life. Keep practicing, stay brave, and celebrate your progress. You're doing fantastic. Keep speaking.